Hello everyone, welcome to Salesforce Predator. In this channel we discuss about various concepts and technologies. In this video series we are discussing about JavaScript. In today's video we'll see what are data types in JavaScript. Data types are categorized into two major types in JavaScript. We have primitive data types, we have non-primitive data types. Under primitive data types, we have number, big int, boolean, string, undefined, null, and symbol data types. Symbol was added in recent types. Okay, so we'll discuss it also. We have object data type under non-primitive, which will also cover functions, arrays, string, date, maths, etc. So all of these are represented as object in a JavaScript, right? So we'll discuss each of these data type one by one. We'll see examples related to it and some important points and considerations in all of these data types. Okay. So first is number data type. Numbers are represented between negative 2 raised to 53 minus 1 and positive 2 raised to 53 minus 1. So this is the range of number values in number data type. It can also represent fractional values, but the limit is up to 17 decimal places of precision. Okay. And there is no separate integer or floating point data type in JavaScript. So everything is represented as floating point only and under number data type. Okay. We also have three additional symbolic values under number data type. We have positive infinity, negative infinity, and NaN. So NaN represents not a number. We will see each of them also. Then there are certain properties and functions under number data type. We have number.max value and number.min value, which will represent maximum possible and minimum possible values under number data type. Then we have a number.isSafe integer, then number.maxSafe integer and number.minSafe integer. So these two will represent the maximums or a safest as well as minimum safest integer under number data type, which will not cause rounding off in the calculations. Okay. We have number.isSafe integer function which will determine the parameter passed to it whether it is safest integer or not. Okay, so it is in the range of max safe and min safe integer or not. Okay, then we have positive 0 and negative 0 in JavaScript. So this is unlike most of the programming languages where we have only one zero, but in JavaScript we have two zeros, negative as well as positive 0, and we will see the significance of them. Okay, so let's look into some of the examples, okay? And we will understand these points by using example. Let's go to our browser. We'll just open a console. Let's look into some of the valid numbers in JavaScript, okay? So let's say var num equals to 20. So this is a valid number in JavaScript, okay? If you print num, you will get the value as 20. Even num equals to 20.109030. So this is also a valid number in a JavaScript. Even num equals to negative 90134, some number. So this is also a valid number in JavaScript. Okay, so these are all valid numbers. Now what is NaN? Okay, so let's look into NaN. Now NaN is produced whenever there is a input to a floating point operation and that results in undefined value. Okay, so a value which is not present in the which cannot be defined under JavaScript numbers. Okay, so that would result in a NaN, which specify it's not a number and it's an illegal result of an operation. Okay, so for example, consider an arithmetic operation 0 divided by 0. Okay, so we do not know what should we represent by the result of this. Okay, so this is represented as NaN. So this will give us a NaN value, okay, not a number. Similarly, if we try other arithmetic operations which are not valid, for example square root of negative number, right, so that will also result in NaN. Okay, then what is infinity in JavaScript? So infinity is like any value which is beyond the range of JavaScript specified range. Okay, so we have a specified range that was 2 raised to 53 minus 1 to 2 raised to 53 minus 1 from negative to positive side, right? So beyond this, anything would be positive infinity on this side and negative infinity on this side. Okay, so let's say we can also assign infinity to variables in JavaScript. So let's say var num and equals to infinity. So that is also possible. Now if you try to add anything to this value, it will still result in infinity only, correct? Now you can also assign negative infinity to number. Okay, so if you try for infinity here, so that is also possible in JavaScript. Now we have certain properties of number. So let's say number dot max value, correct? And let's say we assign it to a particular variable where max value in JavaScript, correct? Now what will happen? So this will store the maximum possible value in JavaScript. Okay, so this variable is having that. Now whether it is a safest integer or not, so how can you determine that? So for that we have a range in JavaScript which we can find using properties number dot max safe, number dot max safe integer, which will give us maximum safest integer which we can use without rounding off in any calculation. Okay, so this will give us maximum safest integer, and we also have number dot minimum safest integer, so this will give safest integer on the negative side also. So this is the range. Inside this any number would be a safe integer in JavaScript, and rounding off will not be there in the calculations. Now how can you find a particular number is safe integer or not in JavaScript? So we have a function for that, right, which is number dot is safe integer. Okay, so let's try it. Number dot is safe integer, and we need to pass parameter to it, which we need to identify whether it is a safe integer or not in JavaScript, right? So we had this max value present over here which we calculated earlier. So let's check if it is safe integer or not. Yeah, so it is not a safe integer in JavaScript, right? So let's say where safe max equals to number dot max safe integer. Let's try this. Okay, so number dot safe max, you can see it will result as a true. So this is a safe integer. Now what if I add value 1 to this max safe max value, right? So plus 1, and let's assign it to a variable unsafe num. Okay, and let's try this function it unsafe num. See, even if you add one value to this maximum safe integer value, so it will result in a false. So that means it is not a safe integer then, correct? Now one more point we need to discuss is 0 and minus 0, or we can say negative 0 in JavaScript, correct? Now there are two zeros and 0 and negative 0, and this is because JavaScript implements the IEEE standard for floating point arithmetic. Okay, it is IEEE 754, and it already has signed zeros present in it. Okay, so that's why in JavaScript also we have two zeros, 0 and negative 0. Now, even if we have two zeros, both of them represents false value in only in JavaScript. Okay, both of them are equal to each other in JavaScript. So if you try 0 equal to negative 0, so it will result in true only. Even if you try 0 triple equals to negative 0, so that will also return in true only. Okay, so these both are same. So what is actually difference between them, and why do we have these two zeros even in the IEEE standard? Okay, so two signed zeros were introduced in IEEE, keeping in mind the limits calculations in maths. Okay, so to distinguish from which side we are approaching 0 and infinity, it was present over there. And same way it is present in JavaScript also. And when you are dealing with infinity numbers, so we have two infinities again, positive and negative, right? So at that time you can identify the difference between them. So let's say if we do 1 divided by negative 0, right, so it will result in negative infinity, whereas if we do 1 divided by 0, so it will result in positive infinity. So in calculations involving this positive and negative infinity, there you can identify the significance of these positive and negative zeros in JavaScript, correct? Now to verify whether these two are equal, exactly equal or not, so we have one operation object.is which will return false in case of triple equal to and double equals to, it was returning as true only, right? But this corner scenario is handled in object.is operation. So if I try with 0 and positive 0, it is returning as true, but if I try with negative 0, so it will return in false only. Okay, so this object.is can differentiate between 0 and negative 0. Okay, so we'll go to our next data type, which is big int. Okay, so we already saw with numbers we have a range 2 raised to 53 minus 1 and 2 raised to 53 minus 1 from negative to positive side, right? But if we want to represent a whole number which are greater than this range, so that won't be possible. I mean, that won't be safely represented by the number data type, right? So for that, JavaScript have big int, and it is used to represent the whole number with arbitrary precision. Okay, and it is created by either by appending n to the end of a number or by using the constructor approach. Okay, so let's go to our browser. We will look into it. Let's clear this. So let's say we want to have a big number, right? So we will use first constructor approach. So big int of any number we want to assign to this big number. Okay, so let's say this. Okay, and click on enter. Okay, so one more thing, it has to be inside these quotes. Yeah, and now if I try to print big num, you can see a number is printed and n is appended to it at the end, correct? Now let's say we have another approach. By appending n to it, we can create a big number, correct? So let's say where big num2 equals to any number, and we append n to it. Okay, and if I try to print big num2, so we'll get this number, correct? Now let's say we have two numbers where num1 equals to 100. Okay, and let's say another number where num2 equals to 100n. Okay, so first one is a number, second one is big data number, right? So what will happen if I try to equate these two? Okay, so first let's say if I am using double equals to operator, right? So what will happen? Will it result true or false? So it is returning as true. Why? Because numeric value of these two is same only, so 100 and 100. But if we check this along with the data type using triple equal to operator, right, the strict equality operator, so let's see what happens. So it is returning us as false, right, because the data type of these two are different. So this one is big int and the num1 is normal number data type, right? So we'll go to our next data type, which is Boolean data type. Now Boolean is a logical data type which can either have only true or a false value, and it's generally used in the conditional statement to decide which section of code should be executed based on certain conditions, right? For example, in case of if, in case of while also, we use if this Boolean variables, correct? So it can have either true value or it can have either false value. And Boolean value may also result as part of certain operations, for example, comparison operation, correct? So let's check Boolean. Let's say we have two variables where x equals to 10, where y equals to 20, and we have result which is calculated based on this operation. Okay, so x is less than y or not, right? Now if I click on enter, and try to check the value of result, I can see the value as true. So result is a Boolean variable, right? Now based on this, I can also decide sorry, which direction or which section of my code should be executed, right? So if true of result, that means if result value is true, I will print this section of code. Else I will print this section of code, right? Now let's see what happens. You can see this section of code got printed over here, right? This console log is printed greater, that means result was true, that's why, correct? So this is where we use Boolean variables in general. Okay, next we have string data type. So to represent textual data, we have a string data type in JavaScript, and anything between double quote or single quote or backtick is identified as string in JavaScript. Obviously, the length of a string is number of elements present in it. That means number of characters in a particular string. So for example, we have dummy over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 would be the length of this string. Okay. So let's see some examples. So we'll use let stud name equals to Ram. So this will be a string. Let stud name 1 equals to Sham, but instead of double quote we will use single quote here. Again, this will also be a string in JavaScript. Let stud name 2 equals to, we'll use backtick and let's say Babu, right? So these all are string in JavaScript. Okay, and if you want to check the length of a particular string, so you can use dot length property here. This will return you the length of a string. Okay, so in case of stud name, it is returning us as 3, correct? So even if you want numbers as string, that is also possible. So you can use num string equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is also a string in JavaScript. Okay, even if it is number, it's enclosed inside a single quote. That's why it is acting as a string only in JavaScript. Remember, JavaScript is loosely typed, so even if you are not mentioning, I mean, we don't have to mention the type of a particular variable when we are assigning value to it. So JavaScript will automatically get the data type associated to the value which we are assigning to these variables. Okay. Okay, so next we have undefined data type. Now a variable which has not been assigned a value in JavaScript, so it is automatically assigned undefined value. This we have already seen while we were looking execution context in JavaScript in one of our previous videos, right? So JavaScript will automatically assign a memory to all the variables present in the JavaScript code at the beginning only, before even execution of a single line of code, right? And it also assign a default placeholder value that is undefined to those variables. Undefined is, however, not a reserved keyword in JavaScript, so it is bad practice to use undefined as an identifier to name your variables in JavaScript. Okay, so let's go and check it once. So you can, let's say, name a variable first name and you have not assigned any value to it. Okay, so let's say we try to print the first name. You can see it is returning us as undefined value, correct? You can even assign the value undefined. Okay, so first name, first stud name, let's say, equals to undefined okay. So this way also you can assign undefined to particular variable. Fine. Next we have null data type. Okay, so null usually represent an empty or nothing value in a JavaScript variable. So it is usually an intentional absence of a value by a programmer so that it can be utilized later to check if there is change to this value and this variable is null or not. Okay, so let's say what we have to do, we just have to take a variable null_var and assign a value null to it. Okay, and it has to be small n, that way this is null, right? And later on we may go on to change this value based on certain calculations, and then in further in our program we can apply condition, check whether this value is null or not. So if it is null, we will not go inside this code and we will not process further. Correct? So that's a null value in JavaScript. Next we have symbol data type. Now, symbol is a primitive data type, and it can be created using kind of a factory function symbol. Okay, and every time we use this, it will generate a unique symbol. It will return a unique symbol, and one of its major use is to add unique property keys to the object. So before introduction of a symbol in JavaScript, what we had to do is we had to use somehow the primitive data type to make the unique keys every time we wanted to do so in objects. Okay, but it was kind of difficult, but with introduction of symbol it is kind of easier now, and we can generate unique property keys to object very easily. Okay, and this is a syntax to generate a new symbol. You just have to use this factory function symbol and it will return you a unique value always. Okay, so let's look into it. Let's refresh this. Let's create a symbol. So we'll use let's say const sim1 equals to symbol. Okay, now if you try to print this as sim1, so it will return this symbol. So you will not know what exactly the unique key is, but it will be unique every time you use it. Okay, so to confirm that, let's say we create another symbol. Okay, again it is returning a unique value. Correct? Now let's say if we try to compare this sim1 equal to sim2, so what's happening? You can see it is returning false. Why? Because every time we are using this symbol function, it is returning a unique value only. Okay, and what's the use case of this? So most of the time, like, it's used when you are doing a complex programming and you want to create unique keys every time for your object, right? Okay, so in that scenarios we use symbol to generate unique keys for objects. So for example, let's clear this. I'll give you an example. So let's create an object, student object. Okay, equals to blank for now. And what we will do is we will create unique keys for that. Okay, so let's say const roll number 1, okay, equals to symbol. We'll create one more roll number. Let's say roll number 2 equals to symbol. Right, now we'll use these keys in our object. Okay, so we have student object with us. So student object of, let's say, roll number 1 equals to Ram. Okay, and let's say student object of roll number 2 equals to Shyam. Okay, now if you try to compare these two, let's say stud object of roll number 1 equal to student object roll number 2. So it will return false value, right? Because these two keys are different and values again are different associated to it. Now one thing to be noted here is, so when you are using keys, or we can say symbols, to generate keys, and those keys you are using inside your object, so you cannot uh, use this dot operator to access these keys. Okay, so you cannot do like student object dot roll number 1. Okay, so this will return undefined. Why? Because this roll1, it is a placeholder to hold value of the value returned by the symbol. Okay, so whatever symbol is returning, it is storing that value inside this variable roll number 1. So it's kind of a variable, so you cannot use dot operator. You have to use off or the square bracket syntax to access the values from those objects. Okay, one more thing, so when you are using symbols to generate keys in object, so those keys or symbols will not be available to you in for in loop, as well as when you try to convert those objects into string using json.stringify, there also these keys will not be available. Okay, so let's say if you try to do json dot stringify, right, stringify of this student object, correct? So if you try to do this, you can see it is showing us empty result, because these keys generated by symbol, so those won't be visible to you. Okay, so let's say we add one more key, and this time without using symbol, let's say 1 2 3 4, and we name it as Ghanshyam. And okay, so we have added one more key value to our object. Now if you try to use this json.stringify, you can see you are getting one value, this value, which key you have not generated using this symbol function, correct? So that's what I wanted to show you. Similar way, in for in loop also, these keys or symbols will not be visible to you. Okay, next we have object data type, and this is our non-primitive or reference data type. Okay, object is used to store key value pairs in JavaScript, and it contains named values. So like we have properties and we have methods in it. And to create objects, we have three ways. We can create either using object literals, or we can use object constructor to create object, or even we can use object.create method to create an object from another object. Okay, further we can use delete operator to delete property or a method of an object. And if you want to fetch all the keys present in our object, so you can use this object.keys method. Okay, so we are going to see this, so you don't have to worry about it. So we'll go to VS Code, and first thing we will look into how we can create objects using object literals approach. Okay, so we'll add a comment here, object literals. Let's say we will create an object with name car. Okay, and the syntax for this is we need to add a parenthesis. Okay, and inside this parenthesis we need to add our properties and functions in that particular object. Okay, even if you leave this way, so this will be a valid object, it would be an empty object. Okay, now let's say we need to add properties to these objects, so we need to add it in key value pairs. So we need to specify the key first, followed by its value. Okay, so let's say name of our car is Maruti, and then we need to separate each of the properties using comma. Okay, next we have model, let's say Suzuki. Then we have price of our car, let's say 12 lakh. And let's say I want to add a function also, right? So that is also possible. You can add functions in the object. You just have to give name to the function. Let's say get model of this car. colon and the function keyword, okay, followed by the body of function. Here what we'll do, we'll just return the model of the car. Okay, so we can use this dot model. We will look into this specifically in one of the videos, and it's very important topic. For now, just understand that it is returning the current instance model. Okay, right. So this way we have created an object car, and let's say if I want to print the details of this object, so I can use the console log car details, correct, and we can just print the car. Okay, if I save this and execute this, let's see into debug console what we'll get. You can see here we are getting car details and we are getting the properties of this object, correct. Now let's say I want to access the property of this object, right? So that I can do using either array notation or as well as dot notation. Okay, so let's see how we can do that, how we can access the property of object. So just we have to specify, let's say car name is, and using dot notation. Okay, so it will be, we need to specify the object name dot the property which we need to access. Okay, so name we are going to access, so car dot name. Similarly, if I want to access using array notation, so that is also possible. Using array notation, we just have to specify the object name and the array index syntax, and here I need to specify the property name inside the code. Okay, so I need to get the name of the car, correct. So this I need to specify. We'll just execute this code and let's see what we get. You can see using dot notation we are getting name as Maruti, and similarly we are getting the name as in array notations also, correct. So these are the two ways you can access the property of an object. Next, let's say I want to make call to the function of this object, so that also we need to do, and we can do it using again dot notation. We just are making call to the function, so call to object function, correct, and here I need to specify the function name, that is get model, so it will be get model. And here I need to specify the parenthesis also, the way we call functions normally, right. And I'll just execute this code. You can see call to the object function, and we are getting the response Suzuki, which is what this function is returning, right. It's returning the current object's model. So this is how we work with objects using object literal approach. Okay, next we have a constructor approach, using which we can create our objects and work with it. So let's add a comment, constructor to create objects. Now this is again a very simple approach to work with object. You just have to use the new keyword, and you can create either objects using the object property, as well as you can do it using the constructor function. So here we are going to use it, use the object, and when we'll be going to discuss objects in detail, we have a separate video for that. So there we'll look into all of other possibilities. Okay, so let's again first comment this code, we don't require it right now. So let car equals to new object. Okay, that's it. So this will create a car object which will be empty for now. If you want to have a property, you can add it over there. Let's say we are creating an empty object first, and let's say I want to add a property now after creation of an object, so that also I can do it. So for that I just have to specify the object name and the name of a property I want to create, correct. So let's say I want to add a name property. I'll be adding a value to it, which will be Maruti. Then again, let's say I want to add one more property, let's say model, so it will be Suzuki, and let's say I want to add price also. So I'm adding a price here, it will be around 12 lakhs. Okay, that's it. So this is how we can add properties to our object. And let's say I wish to print the object, so it will be the similar way we work with the earlier approach. Okay, we just have to specify the object name, car details, R, and car. That's it. We'll save our code, we'll execute this. So you are getting this console log. Okay, so this is the constructor approach, and we have one more approach. So we have object.create, where we can create an object with the help of an existing object. Okay, so we will write a comment using object.create. Let's say we have an existing object, we'll name it as base object, and in that we have, let's say, class property, we'll make it as car. We have one more properties, and for cars we have like wheels, so we'll add wheels here, and we'll specify 4. Okay, so it's a 4-wheeler car. Okay, so this is an existing object which we'll be creating, and using this object we are going to create another object. Okay, so just focus into the syntax what we are using. So we have a new object equals to object dot create, and here it will be the object, or we can say the base object from which we are going to create a new object. So we need to specify the name of that object. So in our case it will be base object, and again here you can specify the additional properties you wish to add to this newly created object. Okay, for now let's say we are keeping it as empty. Okay, so remember, this is the object from which we are going to create the new object. Okay, and these are the new properties which we wish to add. So let's say we are creating it this way only. Okay, and let's add a console log. Okay, we'll add a console log for new object, and we'll specify new object over here. Okay, we'll just comment the earlier code to avoid any confusion, and we will execute this. Oh, okay, so I can just add like this. You can see we have an object, but surprisingly you can see there is no body present over here, so this looks like an empty object. Okay, if I want to show you, let's say we will move this entire code base to browser, so there you will be able to understand better. We'll just paste our code over here. Okay, and we'll click on enter. Now you can see this console log is there. You can see it looks like an empty, but if you try to expand this, you can see we have a prototype over here, and if you expand this, you can see the properties over here. Okay, so what's happening over here is this new object is getting created with this base object as a prototype. Okay, now let's say if you want to delete property of this newly created object, so the property which you got from the base object, so that properties you cannot delete. Okay, so let's say we have a delete operator, right? So using delete operator, what I can do is I can delete the properties of object. Okay, so I just have to specify the new object, and then I need to specify the property name. So let's say a class is a property, and let's say I wish to delete it. Okay, so if I try to delete it, it's returning true. Okay, but let's say if I print the new object now, and if I expand this, expand the prototype, you can see the properties are still over here. Okay, so you cannot delete these properties. But now let's say if you have additional property for this object, so it would be like its own properties. Let's say brand, and let's say we have Maruti as a brand, correct? Now let's say I'll print this object first. You can see we have its own property for this object, and if I expand the prototype, we have these two properties also. Now let's say I wish to delete the property of this object. Okay, so the this object's own property, that is brand, right? So let's try to delete it and see. Here we need to specify the brand. Okay, now let's see, it's returning true. Let's print new object. You can see this property has been deleted. Okay, so we can delete the object's own properties but not the properties which we got from the base object. Okay, and one more thing, let's say if you wish to print the keys present in a particular object, so let's say we'll consider base object only over here. So let's say if I wish to get the keys of this base object, so that also I can get using object.keys method. Okay, so we have object.keys, correct? And here I need to specify the name of object, so it's a base object in our case. You can see it is returning us an array which contains the list of all the keys present in the object, which we have specified here as a parameter to this method. Okay, so that's it on the object, and we have discussed in this video different data types present in the JavaScript. We had discussed this primitive data type, or we can say non-reference, and we have this non-primitive or reference data type. Okay, and also this video is like just to introduce you into the different data types of JavaScript and to get some details about them. Also, we will be having individual videos for most of the data types which are important, specifically for strings, then objects, functions, arrays. Okay, so you don't have to worry, we'll go into depth in those videos also. Okay, now for now, if you have any questions, you can write it down in the comment section, and thank you for watching this video.